Hey, welcome back. It's time to take another look at the real world of sales with real businesses out there in the real OC with the one person who really knows them all and knows how to coach them all as our resident coach here today, Ashley V. Welcome, Ashley.
Hey, Paul. Thank you so much. It's great to be back, everybody. It's been a minute.
We always call you our sales coach, and I know that's
Right.
what you do for a living, but you were a real sports coach at one time, too, girls basketball and all that kind of stuff, right?
That's right, Paul. Yeah, I did coach girls basketball for the Boys and Girls Club.
So now you've got another fellow jock in the room here. Who'd you bring in today?
Right. Yeah, that's right. Okay, everybody. We have Chris Phillips from Compete Sports Performance and Rehab in Lake Forest in Yorba, Linda, right here in Orange County. Welcome, Chris.
Hi, Ashley. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for being here, Chris. We have a lot to talk about.
No, appreciate you having me, and I think it's a good opportunity for us to get out with the community and spread what we do and what we do to help other athletes and active adults.
All right, that's awesome. That's awesome. So yeah, Chris, everybody, Chris is a athletic trainer. You've helped professional athletes, Olympians, Anaheim Angels. But let's wind it back, Chris, and why don't you tell us a bit about how you got into this industry? Where are you from? How did it begin?
Grew up in New York, was a pretty promising baseball player back in the day, and tore my ACL my freshman year in high school and ended up having to go through the whole rehab process and the surgical process, and had a great group of athletic trainers and physical therapists, which at the time was very rare, that didn't work with a lot of sports athletes. They had actually helped me out and helped get me back, and back then you didn't repair and respond as well as you do nowadays, but they were there for me. And at some point, you get to that point where you think you're going to be the shortstop for the New York Yankees, and all of a sudden, that's not going to happen. How else do I get to the pros? So
Wow. Yeah.
it was one of those where, hey, you know what? This is an opportunity for me to continue helping people like people had helped me and get to that point where maybe I didn't get to the pros, but maybe I can help somebody else get to the pros. And unfortunately, that's actually really happened.
Wow, that's amazing. So just from your experience, you were able to be inspired by your trainers and decided. Did you go to college then after high school for athletic training?
Yep, so I started off as a physical therapy major at Quinnipiac College, now Quinnipiac University, and one of the top 10 hockey programs in the country.
Nice.
And
awesome.
was able to get a internship my junior and senior year with actually the LA Kings, who had their minor league team in New Haven, Connecticut. So I was able to work with them for a couple of years and learn and kind of start to understand the professional ranks and how professional athletes work different from a collegiate or high school setting, and switched over to athletic training, loved it, and was fortunate enough that the year I graduated, the athletic trainer left that position and I got his. So kind of started that first year of being in the right place at the right time and putting in a lot of effort and a lot of time and work to...
What team was that you started?
That was the New Haven Nighthawks back in the American Hockey League.
Wow. Awesome. That is super cool.
One thing turned into another, and spent 7 more years in the American Hockey League and got a call from the Ducks and got brought out here and started with the Ducks in 99 and was able to go to the Stanley Cup Finals in 03. And it's the year we lost, but still got to go out and go to the Game 7 against New Jersey, where I grew up 20 minutes from there. So it was almost a dream come true if we'd won that game.
Wow, that's amazing. What a story, Chris. That is so cool.
Yeah, that's great.
Oh my gosh. And professional sports is the highest level. That is so fun. And so then for the pro athletes, like what kind of treatments, injuries, like how that you guys did, was it different than college athletes? Like how did you help the pros?
I think the injuries are all the same. I think the difference is the pressure on getting that athlete back faster. And not only getting them back faster, but getting them back safer, right? You can't have an athlete go back from an injury and then get injured again. And I think when you look at what we have to do on a daily basis and the amount of how you look at things, what's your risk versus reward? How are we going to get these athletes better faster? How are we going to get these players back on the ice sooner? Because when you look at some of these guys today, they're making $10 million a year. A game lost is a lot of money lost.
Definitely.
So you have to, that pressure's different. That idea is different. Of as much as we all think the high school athlete and the college athlete and pro athlete, an injury is an injury, it is the same. But the difference is the money's not on the table with the high school athlete, that it's the money on the table with the professional athlete. Or that opportunity with an Olympic athlete. And when I was fortunate enough to go to the 2022 Winter Olympics, we had one of our para skaters sprained her ankle off ice the morning of the competition.
Oh my
so
gosh.
when you have basically 10 hours to get that thing good enough that she could compete. That pressure's a little bit different, and how you treat it. If it was just a normal, I don't want to say normal figure skater, but an amateur figure skater that doesn't have that pressure of, I have this big competition that I've worked my whole life for that starts in 8 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, you're not going to treat it differently. You just treat it with more intent, and you treat it with more pressure of, okay, we have to do everything simply possible to make sure she can get back out there and compete. And fortunately for her, she did.
Wow, that's amazing. And so is it like the treatment's different? Is there any new technology and systems that they use now for the pros?
There's technology starts coming out left and right. I think a lot of it's how you use it. We've really made a big change at Compete in the last probably year to really look at more objective data. We use stuff like the Valid Human Track. That's a 3D system where we can look at how an athlete moves. We can measure degrees of motion. We can look for asymmetries on their motion. We also use the Valid Force Decks, which are force plates that show us how much force an athlete puts through, their acceleration, and how quickly they jump. It looks at like when they land, are we putting more pressure on one leg versus another leg? And these are things that you used to eyeball, but now you actually use objective data to look at it. Wow. Me being old school, subjective to me is still really great. I can see those things, and a lot of us can, but objectively it shows the athlete a difference. Objectively, it also shows when you test them again a month later, and that range of motion that was 20% different a month ago is now even. Now that athlete really buys in that, oh, wow, whatever we're doing is really working.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Yeah, for sure. I see what you're saying. That's really interesting because when I played basketball in high school, and we had like a trainer that came, and he was like helping us do some drills to help us move faster and jump higher. And it was like certain types of training, which is similar to what you're doing now. And then we had the trainers where I would get my ankles taped for the games or before practice. And then they would try to prevent us from getting injuries, or I'm sure you've done it. You pull the athletes off of the field or the ice when they're hurt, and you have to fix them up and things. So that's where I can see what you're saying. It's really important, especially at that level with so much money and sponsorships. What's like the top athlete? Who's the top athlete at the Ducks that you've helped, or anybody there?
I look back at the career and go, you know what, I've been really fortunate. When you look at the NHL, I was able to work with guys like Timo Solani and Paul Kariya, both with the Ducks. J.S. Jaguar, who won the Conn Smythe Trophy with the Ducks when we went to the Stanley Cup Finals. Alex Ovechkin, if anybody pays attention to hockey, he's the all-time leading goal scorer. I was able to work with him at the Capitals his first 2 years.
Wow.
And then you move on, and when I opened up Compete in 2009, we ended up working with a women's pro soccer team that included Marta and Shannon Box. Marta's, I don't know, I think she's won the women's best player of the world like 6 times. Wow. And then moving on with figure skating and working with Czech figure skater Michael Brzezina, who was the moving force to help bring me to the Olympics, but also working with Nathan Chen, who won the gold medal at that 2022 Olympics in men's figure skating, and Mariah Bell and a whole bunch of others. I think we had 7 or 8 clients that were in that 2022 Olympics, so it was pretty fun.
Wow, that is so cool. And I think it's neat because what you do, your job, Chris, is so important because you're behind the scenes helping these athletes perform at the highest caliber level that they can, which is really cool. I think that's so important. People don't really think a lot about that. But I know when I play sports, like, you always have to have the trainers, like you said, watching you, training you, like measuring how far you jump and stuff.
Yeah, and I think the one thing for me was, it's great working with those professional athletes and Olympic athletes, but it's also working with the high school athlete that wants to be a collegiate athlete, or the collegiate athlete that wants to be a professional athlete. And that's why, for me, opening up my own business in Orange County here is one of the things was to offer everything that I did with professional athletes, offer that to the community in the high school and the collegiate athlete, and even younger. And then as well as, we still work with even active adults, that are the ones that want to go run a marathon, or the ones that want to just go play the men's soccer league on Sundays, that get injured, or hey, I just want to be better. Or the one that always sticks in my mind was, we had an AYSO soccer girl, and she was 16, 17, and it's like, why are you here? She goes, I just want to have fun and make sure I don't get hurt. So what can we do? Can you help me make sure I do what I can to not get hurt? And it's an AYSO soccer player, but it was fun because we were able to help her get by. And at the end of the year, when she graduated high school, she came back and said, "You guys really helped me." And I think that was part of it. It's not just all about the top high-end elite athletes. It's about everybody who just wants to be active.
Let me ask a question. I've been listening fascinated this whole thing because I'm not a jock. I'm not an athlete. But my daughter certainly was. And she was everything I wanted to be and couldn't be. So she played the varsity basketball and soccer and all these kinds of things. And one of the things that I look back in that time is, do we push our kids too hard and therefore create too many injuries? And pushing these kids, everybody wants to get a scholarship, everybody wants to be a pro, everybody has dreams. I wonder, and so competitive here in Orange County on these high school programs, do we push them too hard or do we let them just develop? I always wonder about that, whether it's baseball or hockey or basketball or whatnot. What do you think?
I do think we push them too hard.
I think so.
When you look at the rates of ACL tears, the rates of UCL elbow tears in the elbow for baseball players, those numbers are shooting through the roof. And when you turn around and go, why didn't we see those 20 years ago? Or when I look around, guarantee that was 40 years ago. I was the only one I knew had ACL tear, right? And you don't see very many of them. Now, if you look at a club soccer team, especially on the female side, that are in their senior year in high school, there's probably 3 to 5 girls on each team. And I think a lot of that's because you're looking at year-round sports, starting at as early as some of these girls and boys, 8 years old. And that's the one thing that we kind of talk about in my book, too, about longevity. We might look at a guy like a LeBron James and, or I'm trying to think. I'll use one of our own clients, Jonathan Blum, who's the first born and raised Orange County kid to get drafted in the NHL in the first round. He just finished his 17th year in pro hockey. When we look at that type of thing as longevity, but when we stop and look at, like Paul, you just mentioned, all these parents and kids who want to get that college scholarship, and they start at 8 years old playing year-round. They graduate at 18. That's 10 years from the year they're 8 until they're 18 to graduate.
And their body is still developing. Their body hasn't coalesced, hasn't come together. You're growing and everything here. And I wonder if somehow we're not just pushing them too hard, but doing it at a point in time where it's probably not healthy for them here either.
Agreed. And I think that's the one thing that I don't think we're going to change it. I don't think we're going to change how things are. I mean, you stop and think, you look 20 years ago, and my dad was one of my coaches, right? He coached me up until high school. And you look at even my high school coach, when he was there, he was a history teacher who was just trying to make some extra money on the side. And nowadays, when you look at most of these club coaches, these are full-time jobs for these people. And kudos to them. It's fine. Everything's a business, and it's fully understandable. And I don't think we're going to change that. But at the same point in time, we do have to look at how are we going to modify a few things so these kids aren't getting all these overuse injuries or even worse, the major acute injuries.
Because then you're hurting your child and you're hurting their career possibilities here because you push them to pitch too often or push them to...
That's what I was wondering. Is it the soccer moms, like these parents, or the coaches pushing the kids?
I think it's both.
I do. I think it's both. I think it's also if not me, then it's going to be somebody else. You have the kid who's a pretty good baseball player per se, and he wants to go play football in the fall, and the baseball coach goes, if you're not going to play for me year round, then you can't play for me, and I'll go find somebody else. And then the parents put in a bad position to make a decision of, do I push my kid at 12 years old to play year-round baseball, or do I put him in football and take him out of baseball knowing that baseball coach is going to take somebody else, and I got to find another team for my son?
That's exactly what they said to my daughter. If you're not going to play year-round in club and everything else, then we're not going to seriously look at your thing. Now, I've since read that maybe that's not the best physical training, that as you're developing, you work different muscles in different sports. So should you just focus on one sport? That's what they want you to do usually. Or do you, in your opinion, do you develop better if you have multi-sports?
I 100% think you'll develop a lot better playing multiple sports. When you look at the research, most of the research will show you that you don't really need to start fine-tuning your sports into one sport until at least high school. But kids fall behind. You look at the one athlete that takes the summer off to go play a different sport, and then when they go back, they're 3 months behind.
You forget the play. You don't know the plays.
But you still, like, to me, I always think that you'll get it back pretty quick, but you will be behind for the first week or two. And I think that's the one thing, it gets to be hard. And like we talked about, it's a business too.
You know, that's what I think is interesting. You guys are saying about the parents, coaches. You know what? Like when I played basketball, a lot of the girls I played with on my team, at the other high schools, we all knew each other. We had tournaments together, and we all knew about each other. But everybody thinks they're going to be a pro, a star. You know, Lisa Leslie in the WNBA and stuff. But honestly, not many people are going to be pros from high school.
No.
Not many are going to be playing college. So that's why, to me, it was like some of the parents are crazy. They're just.
You look I want to say the national average is. The amount of high school athletes that will go on to play in colleges, I want to say it's 3 to 5%. I'll give Southern California a little boost. It might be a little higher than that in this area. But even in this area, if you're looking at 10%, if you look at a girls' high school basketball team per se that's got 12 girls, that means at most one is going to go on. And those are also typically some of the better teams in the county on top of it. So it is hard. And then you look at the amount of money that the parents are spending to get their kids there. And kudos to them. We all, like, I did it. We all did it. You all have to make decisions on what's best for your kids and try to put them in that great position. But you stop and think about how much money is get placed in, and then all of a sudden then that pressure becomes on the athlete who's 12 or 13 years old, when mom and dad are going, well, I'm spending $15,000, $20,000 a year for my 14-year-old. He needs to get better, or she needs to get better, she needs to win. And then that starts to put the pressure on the athlete. And that's also from the mental side, it's very hard, and emotional side, it's hard on the kids.
Yeah,
so I never thought of taking my daughter to a trainer. We had coaches, we had club teams, we did everything we could to make her skill set better, but I never thought of making her, what would you call it, her movement, or whatever. We never analyzed how her throw and all the other stuff that
Paul.
they do.
Oh my gosh.
We messed up. But I can see more and more, if this is that serious and you're putting that kind of money and effort into it, then really parents today should be finding somebody like you to help train their kids, so that, one, that they don't hurt themselves, and two, so that they can be all that they can be here.
Yeah, and I think that when you look at any kind of sport, it's repetitive motion. When we have repetitive motion, you do two things. You develop asymmetries. So in other words, a baseball player that always throws right-handed, right? The muscles on the right side are going to get stronger. The other side's going to get weaker. That causes an imbalance. You may look at a soccer player. A lot of things we see with soccer players, they have big, strong quads, but their hamstrings are weak. So that puts them at that risk for chronic hamstring injuries, but also puts them in a position for ACL tears.
It happened a lot in basketball. Tearing ACLs. I sprained my wrists. I sprained my every finger, my ankles, everything. We fall on the court all the time. But I think part of having the trainers, like we had trainers and the performance coach they brought in, was so we could win championships. To me, that was the fun part. Having fun with my friends. I made good friends playing basketball, and then the trainers helped us to win as a team. We got trophies.
Well, always focus on the skill sets. How do you shoot better? How do you run better? How do you kick better? How do you perform better? But they never think about, or we didn't think about, I didn't see many people thinking about longevity and making sure that, I don't know how to describe it, but just like you're saying, your overall body develops evenly and develops in a way that you're less likely to get injuries.
Sure.
Yeah, no, I definitely think
very important.
It's something that also gets overlooked, because that hockey player takes his shooting lessons. It's great. He begins to shoot better. Or the baseball player takes pitching lessons, and he starts to pitch better. So they see that, and the strength and conditioning, the different movement and mobility training gets left behind, because you don't always see it right off the bat. Or the objective numbers of, my kid can was jumping 10 inches high, now he jumps 12 inches high, but they don't look at it how that relates to the game. And I think that's part of the thing where it gets put to the side. And unfortunately, by the time we get a call, there's already some sort of issue of there's an injury, or hey,
Rehab.
My son's not growing as fast as the other kid's growing, and now he's not strong enough, or he's not fast enough, and we need to find a different way to help get him stronger and faster so he can compete with the bigger kids until he starts to grow a little bit.
I see. And then your gym is where you training these athletes and everybody wants to play sports and enjoy working out, compete sports performance in rehab. So do you have like classes at your gym, Chris, or is it like...
Is it one-on-one? Is it group?
Yeah,
Is it...
Most of
everyone first?
Yeah, most of our stuff is semi-private, so it's 1 to 4 athletes at a time, where we can focus on what each individual needs. We used to do we still do private one-on-ones, but they're a lot more expensive. And for me, it's better if we can get a kid in a little bit more, an athlete in a little more than one time a week. So if we can start to see them 2 or 3 times a week and cut that price down a little bit, that also now allows them to come in. They'll get better. With 4 athletes, it's pretty easy for us to manipulate a training schedule so that some of them I might have 2 football players and 2 hockey players. The 2 football players are big and strong, but they're slow, and we have to work on speed and acceleration with them. We can put them and do certain things with those guys, and then take our hockey players that maybe are quick but are getting knocked off the puck and they need to get stronger, and we can put those 2 together and end up working a different program there. And it allows us really to focus on what their individual needs are in more of a little bit of a group setting. And you even mentioned it earlier, like athletes are competitive. So when they start doing some things together,
yeah, for sure.
I think that's the best. If you work out by yourself, it's one thing, but if you've got somebody else measuring you, challenging you, pushing you, holding you accountable, cheering you on, whatever, yeah.
Yeah, we've got a great group of pro, college, and junior hockey players now, probably about 15, 20 of them, and doing some acceleration drills, which we'll get into probably next month as we get towards the second half of the summer. And these guys are doing competitive drills, and I tell them it's not a race, but they don't listen. They want a race, and they know who won, even if it's by a hair, and they'll yell at the other one for cheating and leaving early. And it actually makes it really fun.
Who refers you people? Did they just find you? Is it word of mouth? Is it somebody on the team went through this and tell everybody? Or did the coaches actually send you people and say, hey, I really need you to work with this kid?
It's all of the above. We really started off just using word of mouth referrals. We look at, sometimes it's a coach who's working with a kid who knows that they're lacking some physical aspect, and they know that, hey, if they send them to us and we get them faster and stronger, they'll be a better player. And then guess what? Who are they working with? They're working with that coach, so that coach looks better as well.
Yeah.
And I think the big thing is whether or not it's the on-ice coach, whether or not it's the pitching coach, whether or not it's a strength coach, when your athlete does better in their sport, every other parent wants to know what your kid's doing.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I think that just speaks for yourself.
Parents are very competitive. Oh my God, they watch each other all the time here.
They yell at in the bleachers during the games.
Yeah, exactly. So if I went to your facility, what would I see? Is it just a big open space, and you got the medicine balls and what? I don't know what else.
Yeah, you almost nailed it. We have a small rehab facility. A lot of us are athletic trainers. If you don't know what an athletic trainer is, I think the easiest way for us to say is physical therapists we're not physical therapists. We're like physical therapists, but we mainly deal with just athletes and active adults. And then you go into our gym area. It's about 2,500 square feet. It's a big turfed area where we can work on movement. It's not like walking into a 24-hour fitness where there's machines everywhere. We have a lot of dumbbells. We have some racks with squat racks and everything, and a lot of medicine balls.
Medicine balls still work.
They still work. A couple hundred years, they're still around, and they still work great. But it gives us space and area, and I think what you'll see athletes that are pushing hard to get better themselves, pushing hard for each other. I think one of the things that I always is you can always tell when there's an athlete that might be struggling a little bit, and you can see it. And I always use like one example of an ACL that might be just they're hitting the wall, they're getting a little frustrated, and you can go find somebody else that had an ACL tear that's in the gym and go, hey, will you go talk? This is what our athlete's going through right now.
Yeah.
They're struggling getting through. They don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. Did you have that? And they go, yeah, you know what? I did. Will you guys go talk for a few minutes? And then they go talk, and then the kid comes back, and they're like, yeah, you know what? I feel a lot better. I'm not alone here.
Yeah.
It's not just me as the athletic trainer, the strength coach, or the parent telling them it's going to be okay.
Yeah, right.
There's another athlete that was in their position a year ago, 6 months ago, and if you just buckle down and keep working, you'll get through and you'll do fine. And I think that makes them one of their peers.
It is psychological to get to, particularly because you're dealing with children and they maybe haven't developed the same internal skills that older athletes have done. Everybody's susceptible
I don't know.
to this.
Some of our pro athletes are still children. And they'll admit it too.
All right, so how do they find you if they want to stumble upon this thing, if they want to experiment, if they want to try something here?
Yeah, honestly, Google Compete Sports Performance and Rehab. We're in Lake Forest. Our website's competeperformance.com. That's the easiest way to find us. We have our contact information there as well. I just wrote a book that came out a couple months ago called Built to Go the Distance. It's the real path to athletic performance and longevity. And it's really meant for the athlete, the parent, to bypass everything on social media or every marketing little sales pitch you hear and give you my experience on what really works.
Do you ever get into nutrition and other sorts of things like that?
We do. We're not nutritionists at all. We do help with that. If not, we refer out. I think that's the one thing too, is as athletic trainers and strength coaches, we know we have a great referral system, whether or not it's if we need an orthopedist, if we need a massage therapist, if we need a chiropractor, if we need a dietitian, if we need a concussion specialist.
Wow,
we have all those
right.
we have all those contacts that if it's something that we need help with, it's easy to refer, and pretty much everybody we deal with has been proven to help and to help athletes specifically. And I think that's the big thing is treating Paul and I is going to a lot different than treating
Yes.
than treating a 22-year-old athlete that's trying to turn pro.
Yeah, exactly.
Where can you find your book, Chris, too? Because you have a lot of good info there.
Yeah, it's on Amazon. It's pretty simple.
What's it called? You want to hold up your book
Sure,
here?
yeah.
Built to go the distance. Isn't that
Built
the
to
key?
go the distance.
There you
Anybody
go,
can
guys.
win in the short run, but how do you, if you're really going to sustain this, you can do it for a lifetime or a career, how do you go the distance?
And I think that's the big thing. And again, I look back at Jonathan Blum, like I mentioned earlier. Like, he's our GOAT. I started with him when he was 15 years old, when he was getting ready to go up to Western Hockey League and play juniors, and been working with him ever since. And it's been one of those things too where we've now developed a great relationship where I've been to his wedding, he's been around he's taken my kids out to hang out when my kids were young, and now his kids come in and hang out with us. And now with him finishing his 17th year in pro sports and gone through a couple injuries, he's been, knock on wood, pretty injury free. And
That says it all right there.
It's great, yeah.
Here's somebody who did go the distance, who started at 15 and has been pretty much injury-free. How many athletes can we all name off the top of our head in any sport that seemed so promising and quickly had too many injuries and their career was over here?
Yeah, and I mean,
Tiger Woods. He's injured every day.
100%, yeah. Or you look at Christian Pulisic now with U.S. the World Cup. That he's injured a lot, and some people are like that. Some people aren't. I look at Blummer, and he was the captain of the U.S. junior team. He played in the 2018 Olympics, was a first-round NHL draft pick, played in the NHL for a bit. And these are some things that not only did he always talks about how we helped mold him, but in reverse, he also helped mold us as well, too, and starting to work through his career. And looking at some of our pro guys, we have Zeev Buliam right now, who's a 20-year-old. He was a first-round draft pick, just finished his first year with Vancouver in the NHL. And I always talk about our guys of, hey, you guys need to look at John, and that should be your goal right there. And think about the kind of career you'll have if you play 15, 20 years.
Well,
Wow,
you've certainly
that's
got the
amazing.
experience people are looking for, not only in the
Yeah,
pros,
for
but with
sure.
longevity of successful careers and successful kids who've gone the distance. Thank you so much for joining. What's the name of the thing? One more time. Compete
Sports Performance and Rehab. We're located in Lake Forest in Yorba, Orange County. Again, book's called Built to Go the Distance. You can find it on Amazon, and it's cheap. We only have $5 because for me, this is what I want you guys to understand. It's not about us. It's about helping you guys getting better, just like somebody did for me.
There you go.
All right, that's awesome. Make sure you get the book. Make sure you check out Chris's website. Go to his gym, guys. Tell your athlete friends. Tell your athletic friends.
There you go. One more great story from our community radio station to you. Find out more. Check it out. And come back again as we continue to explore the real world of sales right here on Orange County's only community radio station, OC Talk Radio. Streaming live from our studios here at the University of California, Irvine's Beale Applied Innovation Center.